With the introduction of the brand new 992.2 Porsche Carrera, is now a good time to get yourself into a 991, specifically the .1. I recently filmed a .1 for a client who wanted some B-roll footage for his auto trader advert, and I thought to myself, I wonder if now is a good time to get into a 991.1. Anyway, with that out the way, let's find out, is it really a good time now to grab yourself one of these cars with the introduction of the .2? So let's kick things off with some background. What makes the 991.1 so unique compared to its previous generation, the 997? The 991.1, introduced in 2011, was a significant leap forward for the 997. It marked a shift towards more modernity while retaining the 911's signature traits. The most obvious difference is the size. The 911 is a larger and wider car, but with a longer wheelbase. This improves stability at high speeds and ride comfort. Porsche also introduced an aluminium construction which lightened the chassis, I can't even say that word, which lightened the chassis by about 100 pounds. In terms of handling, the 991 got an updated PASM system, offering a more refined balance between comfort and sportiness. While the 997 was loved for its analog feel and hydraulic steering, the 911 came with electronic steering, which was a point of controversy. However, Porsche did a fantastic job at tuning it, and many feel it's still among the best in the business. The interior saw a huge jump as well. Gone is the minimalist design of the 997. The 991.1 introduced a more modern, updated feel with a raised center console, which it took inspiration from the Carrera GT. Tech like the PCM system, Porsche Communication Management, improved ergonomics, making it a more comfortable daily drive. So let's talk about trim levels, and boy did they make quite a few, but we'll focus on just a few specific ones for this video. So kicking off, you had the entry level, which was the Carrera. This came with a 3.4 flat 6 pushing out around 350 brake. Then you had the Carrera S, which bumped power up to 400 bhp. This was on a 3.8 flat 6. This car also had adaptive suspension and improved handling and ride. This is the sweet spot for many buyers. Next, you had the Carrera 4 and 4S. This added four-wheel drive for better traction, especially in wet and cold climates. Positioned between the Carrera and the Turbo, you had the GTS. This bumped power up to 430 brake, had improved styling, handling, and is also considered the most well-rounded 911. Next, you have the Turbo and the Turbo S. This came with 560 brake horsepower, active aero, four-wheel drive, and is often considered the most powerful 911 that you can get. Next, you have the GT3 and the GT3 RS. This naturally aspirated 9,000 RPM revving track animal. Track car for the road is gotta be one of the most sought after 911s on the market. Although lacking the manual option, this was introduced in the 991.2. Each trim has its own characteristics, but the Carrera S and the GTS are considered the most popular choices for those who want a balance between sort of performance and usability. The Porsche community is one of the most passionate and knowledgeable groups out there. Whether you're attending a track day, joining weekend drives, or engaging in online forums like Facebook groups or Porsche Club GB, there is a strong network of support and camaraderie. The .1 is well regarded within the community, often seen as a bridge between the analog feel of the older models and the high-tech nature of the new ones. Enthusiasts appreciate the blend of modern conveniences and traditional 911 dynamics. The community is also a valuable resource when it comes to maintenance, tips, mods, suggestions, and even finding reputable specialists for a pre-purchase inspection. So let's talk about value. How do prices stack up today for the Dot 1, both here in the UK and in the US? As of 2024, pricing for the 991.1 is in an interesting place. In the US, a base Carrera can be found for around $60,000 to $75,000 depending on mileage and condition. Carrera S or a GTS will set you back around $75,000 to $90,000. For a turbo model, expect to pay north of $100,000. With a GT model, even higher. In the UK, prices range from around $50,000 to $60,000 for a well-kept Carrera, with Carrera S's and GTS models going for $65,000 to $80,000. Turbos and GT3s are still commanding over $100,000, especially with low mileage or special specs. Given these numbers, the Dot 1 offers strong value. You get a lot of car for your money. And with the introduction of the Dot 2, we're definitely going to see prices dipping on the Dot 1. So now may be a good time to bag yourself one. If you are thinking about getting yourself a Dot 1, then one thing you should definitely consider is maintenance. How does maintenance stack up for a Dot 1? How much are you going to be spending, and what sort of maintenance do you need to do on these cars? So owning a Porsche isn't cheap, but the 991.1 is generally considered reliable with routine care. Here's a quick rundown of the typical maintenance costs. Oil change, around $300 to £250 every 10,000 miles or annually. Brakes and pads and discs, depending on the model, replacing all four corners can cost you around $1,500 to $2,500. That's around £1,200 to £2,000. Tyres, high performance tyres can run you around $1,200 to $1,800 or £1,000 to £1,500 in the UK per set, and they typically last around 15,000 to 20,000 miles, guess depending on how you drive. Annual servicing, expect to spend between $1,000 and $1,500, that's $800 to £1,200 for a standard service from a Porsche specialist. While the Dot 1 doesn't have IMS bearing issues, it's important that you go to a Porsche certified specialist to get your maintenance done. You can do smaller DIY jobs, but for the larger jobs, definitely go to a specialist. So you've decided to start your hunt for your Dot 1. What should you look out for? The first thing you want to do is get yourself a PPI or a pre-purchase inspection. This could help you find issues with the car that you may not see at first glance. Next, you want to check the transmission. So check for smooth shifts in the PDK, especially in earlier builds. A clunky shift might indicate an issue that could be quite costly. Suspension. Look for signs of wear and tear in the PASM system, especially if the car has seen some track use. Service history. Look for cars that have had a full service, which includes regular oil changes, brake fluid flushes, and regular maintenance. Interior. The Dot 1 interior is of high quality, but you want to make sure you check for common wear issues in places like the steering wheel, the gear stick, the seat bolsters. This is where cars generally will start to wear the most. So yeah, check those places. With those checks in place, guys, you're in a better position to find yourself a well-kept example that won't give you any issues down the line. Finally, guys, what has changed between the Dot 1 and Dot 2? And should you just consider a Dot 2 instead? Or stick with a Dot 1? The transition from the Dot 1 to the Dot 2 brought some noticeable changes. The most significant was the turbocharged engine across the full Carrera range, which replaced the naturally aspirated engine. Whilst this improved performance and efficiency, most purists felt that this lacked the character of the naturally aspirated engine found in all the previous models. The Dot 2 also received updated styling with revised front bumper, rear bumper, front headlights, and updated rear lights. While the Dot 2 is a great car, the Dot 1 holds a special place for those who prefer the naturally aspirated engine of the 911s. With all that being said, is now a good time to get yourself into a 991.1, especially now that the 992.2 generation has just landed. We're going to see prices dip for the Dot 1s, so now might be a good time to grab one. Prices are around the 50 to 60 grand mark for an entry level, but for that much money, you might be able to pick yourself up a 997, have a bit of change left over, maybe a 996, Or you can go old school and get yourself a classic air-cooled. The choice is yours. But if you want the most modern, up-to-date 911 with the best handling and dynamics for your money, the Dot 1 is definitely the one to go for. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. And if you did and you like to see more content like this, just let me know in the comments below. And if there's anything I've missed, also please let me know in the comments below. Anyway, my name's Trevor Joseph. You've been watching Rolling Slow Media. I will see you in the next video. Take care. Peace.